Before ice road truckers made him famous, Alex Debogorski narrowly avoided death many times. He survived 37 bar fights in a week, 11 attempted robberies, and coming close to being crushed in a coal mine, but nothing could have prepared him for what happened next. As his TV fame grew, tragedy struck again and again. 2 sons died, crippling debt, and life-threatening illness. Now, at age 71, the man who conquered the ice roads faces his toughest battle yet. Alex Debogorski was born on August 4, 1941. Stanley, his father, was a brave paratrooper in the Free Polish Brigade who fought in dangerous missions like Operation Market Garden and had to hide from German soldiers for weeks to stay alive. Irene was just as impressive. She studied math and music at Cambridge University while bombs fell all around her in England. They met by chance in an air raid shelter in 1943, and even though it was a war zone, they fell in love and got married just 6 months later. Stanley and Irene couldn't go back to Poland after the war because the country was too dangerous. Poland was now controlled by the Soviet Union, and people like Stanley, who had fought for the Free Polish forces, were seen as enemies. They decided to leave everything behind and start over in Canada. In 1952, they got on a crowded ship to cross the Atlantic. The trip was rough with stormy seas, and Irene, who was pregnant with Alex, got very sick after 2 weeks. They arrived in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and then went west to Alberta, where land was cheaper. A year later, Alex was born, and he grew up on a farm in northern Alberta. Life there was hard. Winters were so cold that they often dropped below 40 degrees. Everything was covered in snow for months, and the family had to work hard just to stay warm and feed the animals. Every fall, they got ready for winter by cutting down firewood, preserving food, and getting all the farm equipment ready. Alex learned to plan and stay calm in tough situations. Summers weren't much better. The heat and black flies made working outside miserable. Alex and his family planted crops and took care of animals, no matter how uncomfortable it was. By the time he was 7, he had to feed the chickens, collect eggs, and help milk the cows every day. As he got older, his duties increased, and he learned to fix fences, drive tractors, and help with the tiring harvest season. When he was 14, his family worked non-stop for 2 weeks to finish harvesting before an early frost could ruin their crops. Alex said that experience taught him the value of teamwork and never giving up, even when things were hard. Even though life on the farm was hard, there were times of wonder and joy. He liked exploring the woods around the farm, talking to birds, and watching nature, but growing up wasn't always easy for him. He was shy and clumsy, which made him a target for bullying at school. These things made him spend more time alone, which helped him develop a rich imagination and a love for stories, which would later make him stand out on ice road truckers. Alex's family history had a big impact on him. His maternal grandfather was a major in the Polish infantry during World War II and was killed by the Germans for helping the Allies. Before he became a famous ice road trucker, Alex took on jobs that were very dangerous and full of challenges. On August 17, 1971, when he was only 18, he started his first job as a bouncer at the Yellowknife Inn, a bar known for constant fights. This story of bravery and sacrifice gave him a strong sense of justice and the courage to take risks when it mattered. Alex's parents also made sure that he and his siblings knew how important their Polish roots were. Family gatherings were full of stories about the war, traditional Polish songs, and hearty meals that kept their heritage alive. In his first week, he broke up 37 bar fights and got 2 black eyes and a broken rib. But he didn't back down. Over the next 18 months, he threw out more than 2,000 rowdy customers and almost got stabbed 13 times, but luckily avoided being hurt each time. In 1973, Alex wanted to change, so he became a taxi driver in Edmonton. This job seemed safer, but in just 6 months, he survived 11 robberies. The worst happened on October 3, 1973, when a passenger pulled a knife on him and demanded his money. In early 1974, Alex moved to Alberta's oil fields and worked as an oil rigger. His shifts lasted 16 hours and the temperature dropped to -40 degc. On July 12, 1974, a drilling pipe came loose and almost hit him in the head. It could have killed him, but Alex kept going, showing that he wasn't afraid of dangerous work. In November 1974, Alex started working in the coal mines of Grand Deh, Alberta. He went 2,000 feet underground every day and faced constant dangers like cave-ins, gas explosions, and coal dust that could ruin his lungs. 3 miners were trapped in a collapse on March 22, 1975. Alex spent 17 hours digging with his bare hands and a small shovel to free them. His bravery stood out, but these hard jobs also taught him how to stay calm under pressure and solve problems quickly. Skills that would later help him as an ice road trucker. Alex's personal life was just as exciting. On June 15, 1972, at the age of 19, he married his high school sweetheart Louise. Their story began on September 7, 1969, when Alex, who was 6 feet 3 inches tall, danced with Louise. Alex accidentally knocked over 5'2" Louise at a school dance, but Louise laughed it off and the two started dating on their 3rd date. That same night, Alex took her on a drive across a frozen lake. The ice cracked under their car, but Alex's quick thinking got them safely to shore instead of scaring Louise. The experience brought them closer, and when Louise found out she was pregnant on March 12, 1972, Alex stood by her. He proposed with a ring he made from a silver dollar, and they didn't care what other people thought about their young age. They had a small wedding with only 23 guests and a potluck dinner, and they even dressed up and drank homemade dandelion tea. For their honeymoon, they camped in the woods and ran into a grizzly bear. This kind of excitement became normal for the Debogorski family. Life was hard at first. From 1972 to 1976, they lived in 14 different places, including a school bus and a cabin with no running water. On November 18, 1972, Louise gave birth to their first child. It was snowing so hard that they couldn't get to the hospital, so Alex delivered the baby himself. Alex's trucking career began on September 3, 1972, when he got a job at the McIntyre Porcupine coal mine. He had no real experience. He said he had experience driving trucks on his family farm, but he was actually put in a huge Euclid R50 dump truck that was the size of a house. On his first turn, he almost flipped it over, but he learned quickly. The job was hard, with long hours and dangerous conditions. During one storm, his truck slid off the road and almost fell into a 200-ton drop. Despite the risks, Alex did great, and by July 1973, he was promoted to lead driver. In 1976, Alex moved to Yellowknife with Louise and their 2 kids. They had $500 and a broken-down truck. They pushed it the rest of the way and lived in it for 3 weeks, using a laundromat to stay warm. On May 17, 1976, Alex overheard someone at a diner talking about ice road trucking jobs. He jumped at the chance, even though he had never done it before. His first trip was in late May, when the ice was melting and it was dangerous. His truck almost fell through the ice, but he managed to get it across. That trip didn't scare Alex away from ice road trucking. Instead, it sparked his interest in the job. Over the next few months, he studied ice roads, weather, and truck mechanics. By February 14, 1977, he was known for his skill and dependability. The journey took 52 hours with no visibility, but he made it, and people started calling him the Ice Road Angel for his bravery and dedication. One cold morning in January 2007, Alex Debogorski was living his normal life in Yellowknife, Northwest Territories. That day, everything changed. Producers from the TV company Original Productions were in town looking for someone to be on a new reality show about ice road trucking. As they talked to locals, they kept hearing Alex's name, and everyone seemed to agree that he would be a great ice road trucker. 17th, 2007. He was having his usual breakfast of 4 eggs, bacon, and pancakes at a local diner when producers came up to him. He thought they were salespeople, but they told him they were making a show about the dangerous job of ice road trucking. Alex was interested but cautious. The producers were immediately impressed by his big personality, deep voice, and amazing storytelling. He talked about wild animals, icy roads cracking under his truck, and the dangers of being in the middle of nowhere. After hearing his stories, they knew they had found their star. After 26 years of driving on icy roads, Alex had everything they needed for the show, but he wasn't sure if he wanted to be on TV on February 3, 2007. He talked about it with his family over dinner, and his wife Louise wasn't happy about it. She was afraid that cameras would invade their privacy and that the attention might cause problems. Alex was also nervous. He didn't want the show to make ice road trucking look silly or fake, and at 53, he wondered if he was too old for the stress of being filmed for weeks. He went back and forth about what to do, and other truckers warned him that fame. On March 15, 2007, Alex even talked to a local priest named Father Joseph. The priest told Alex to follow his heart, but he also reminded him that being on TV would come with big responsibilities. Making the decision wasn't easy, but on April 2, 2007, Alex's oldest son called and reminded him of how much the family had struggled with money over the years. This conversation made Alex realize that the show could give them the financial stability they needed. After talking with his family one more time on April 10, 2017, Alex decided to do it on April 15, 2007. Signing the contract just weeks before filming began. The shows premiered on June 17, 2007, and Alex became a fan favorite right away in 2007. People loved his positive attitude, ability to stay calm in dangerous situations, and strong faith. By the end of the first season, he had received over 3,000 fan letters from all over the world. While other cast members came and went, Alex stayed for all 11 seasons. On September 8, 2013, during season 7, Alex celebrated 1,000 days of filming, and the crew surprised him with a party at a truck stop in Manitoba to show how much they appreciated him. But Alex also had to deal with problems during season 2 on. With a pulmonary embolism, a dangerous health problem that happened on January 22, 2008, he had to leave the show for a while but came back in season 3, and fans were thrilled. By the time the last season aired in 2017, Alex had been in all 138 episodes. He filmed his last ice road trip for the show on March 15, 2017, and it was an emotional moment for him as he thought back on his 10 years with the show. 4 million people watched a lot. After the first season, Alex got over 50 fan letters every day and was asked to make public appearances. On September 12, 2007, he went to his first big event, a trucking convention in Dallas. Over 5,000 people came to see him, and there was a line for his autograph that went around the building. Being away from home so much was hard. By the end of the first year, Alex had spent 285 days away from his family. His wife Louise said it was especially hard for their younger children. Alex worked hard to stay close to his family every night. No matter where he was. On February 14, 2011, he stopped filming in the middle of a dangerous ice crossing just to make a call. By 2012, Alex had a contract that let him spend more time with his family by having every third weekend off. Supporting his large family of 11 children and 13 grandchildren was a big drive for him before the show. He worked 340 days a year and sometimes did extra jobs to make ends meet. On March 18, 2008, he became even more determined to succeed when his 11th child was born. The show brought him financial stability, and by 2012 his income had grown by 400%. But he didn't just think about himself. In 2014, he started the Debogorski Family Education Fund to help pay for his grandchildren's college. By 2016, the fund had grown to $500,000. Despite all the problems, Alex always said that his family was the reason he worked so hard. In his last interview for the show, he said, "Every mile I've driven, every risk I've taken, it's all been for them. They're my reason for." His hard work and determination made him a legend in the world of ice road trucking. Andrew Debogorski's life changed forever on June 15, 2017, when he was diagnosed with ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. This cruel disease slowly takes away a person's ability to move, speak, and even breathe. It was a devastating blow to his family. Andrew was full of life. He had 2 young children and was engaged to Miriam. He was loved in Yellowknife for his daring spirit. Andrew had been feeling weak for months. He had trouble speaking and his muscles felt weaker. A neurologist at Stanton Territorial Hospital in Yellowknife confirmed the diagnosis of advanced ALS. It was heartbreaking. At the time, Andrew's father Alex Debogorski was filming season 11 of Ice Road Truckers. As soon as he heard the news, he rushed back home. The family came together, determined to do everything they could. They went to see specialists in Edmonton and Vancouver, hoping for better news, but they all told them the same thing: Andrew had ALS. Andrew's health started to get worse quickly and aggressively in just a few weeks. By August 2017, he couldn't work anymore. He had been a heavy equipment operator, but now he needed a wheelchair to get around. His speech became hard to understand, and he had trouble eating. His family stayed strong, and Andrew kept his sense of humor, even as the disease took more from him. He was an inspiration to everyone, and the costs of his care were too high. On July 1, 2017, Alex started a GoFundMe campaign called Andrew's ALS Fight to raise $100,000 to cover Andrew's care. People from all over Canada, the US, Australia, and the UK donated over $75,000 by the end of July. The family also held fundraisers. In September, they held a concert and silent auction at the Yellowknife Elks Lodge. Local musicians played, and Alex sent a video message because he couldn't make it that night. They raised an additional $32,000. In April 2018, they held a community yard sale called Wheels for Andrew. They needed a wheelchair-accessible van, and the event raised over $32,000. In October 2018, Alex went on a fundraising tour across Canada. He drove his truck from Yellowknife to Toronto, stopping in cities to raise awareness for ALS. The tour ended with a gala in Toronto where they raised $150,000. By the end of 2018, all of their efforts had raised a total of $487,000, which paid for Andrew's care, including adaptive equipment and experimental treatments that weren't covered by insurance. However, ALS didn't slow down, and by early 2018, Andrew could no longer walk. In March, he needed a device to help him speak, and his breathing started to get worse. In June 2018, exactly a year after being diagnosed, Andrew got pneumonia. He was rushed to the hospital and stayed there for 2 weeks. He survived, but he now needed a ventilator to breathe and needed care around the clock. Despite all of this, Andrew married Miriam in April 2018. It was a beautiful but bittersweet ceremony, and Andrew needed help saying his vows and couldn't stand at the altar. Despite everything, Andrew's spirit stayed strong. He lost more of his physical abilities by fall and couldn't move much at all. He used eye gaze technology to communicate by looking at letters on a screen. His mind stayed sharp and he kept in touch with family and friends. On December 28, 2018, tragedy struck when a fire broke out in Andrew's home in Yellowknife. Miriam was able to save their 2 young children, Nia, 5, and Miroslav, 4, but Andrew, who was in a wheelchair, couldn't get out. Firefighters got there quickly but couldn't reach him in time. He was taken to the hospital but was pronounced dead from smoke inhalation. He was only 33 years old. The cause of the fire was never found. While the fire was spreading, Andrew's last words to Miriam, "Get the baby out," were heroic. His last words saved his wife and children. Andrew had spent months planning for emergencies. He kept a fire extinguisher nearby and practiced escape drills with his family. His planning and final act of bravery made sure that his loved ones survived. For Alex, losing Andrew was unbearable. He had visited Andrew just 4 days before the fire on Christmas Eve and seen him in such a vulnerable state, unable to move or speak. It was heartbreaking for Alex because he wasn't at home when the fire happened because he was working as a truck driver to pay the bills. He felt guilty for not being there, and the guilt of not being there followed him around for weeks. In the weeks that followed, Alex turned to his faith and family for strength. He wrote touching tributes to Andrew on social media and found comfort in the support from fans all over the world. Alex also became an advocate for ALS research and fire safety. Alex Debogorski became famous for being on Ice Road Truckers, but despite his fame on TV, he has had money problems that might surprise fans, since he hasn't earned the fame. Reality TV stars don't make as much money as people think they do. One reason for this is that reality TV stars don't make as much money as people think. Alex once joked, "I'm only famous because I'm taking $20 donations to get my teeth fixed because that's as far as I can count." It was funny, but it showed how little money he made. Ice road trucking is also a seasonal job, so Alex doesn't make money all year. In 2020, he said he still needed to find trucking jobs during the warmer months. Keeping trucks in good shape for the dangerous ice roads costs a lot of money. In 2018, Alex had to ask for $7,500 in donations to fix his truck, which was a clear sign that his finances weren't stable even years after the show. Alex has a big family with 11 kids and over 12 grandchildren, which adds to the financial stress. He has also said that his contract with the History Channel prevented him from making extra money through endorsement deals, which meant he couldn't fully use his fame to earn more. All of these reasons. Even though he is famous, Alex has trouble with money. His job as an ice road trucker has also hurt his health. One of the scariest times was when he was rushed to the hospital during filming for season 2 of Ice Road Truckers because of a pulmonary embolism, a dangerous blood clot in the lung. It was so bad that he had to leave the show in the middle of the season, which shows how dangerous the job is. Over the course of his career, Alex has broken his ankles and legs, had multiple concussions, and even been hit by a freight train. These injuries have left him in constant pain and have made it hard for him to move around. The cold temperatures and hard work also hurt his body. He got arthritis in his hands and knees from gripping cold steering wheels and climbing in and out of trucks for years. He also lost some hearing because of the loud truck engines. Even with these issues, Alex keeps working, but he now takes on shorter, less demanding jobs to take care of his health. He has also spoken out about how truckers need better health care and support. Tragedies have also been a big part of Alex's life. On June 16, 2024, he lost his son, Alexander Jr., also known as AJ. He was only 41 years old. Alex's family and fans were shocked by his sudden death. AJ left behind a wife and 6 children, which made the loss even harder for the family. This wasn't Alex's first tragedy in 2019. His son Andrew died in a house fire at the age of 32. Andrew had been diagnosed with ALS 2 years before his death. Losing 2 sons in 5 years has been very hard for Alex and his family. After AJ's death, fans and fellow truckers came together to support him. They made a Facebook group called Alexander Jr. Debogorski Memories to share stories and photos. Many people wrote about AJ's kindness, humor, and Alex shared his grief online by writing, "My family has suffered profound loss with the unexpected passing of our dear Alexander Jr., 41 years old. He leaves behind 6 children and a wife." This simple message showed how much he hurt. Balancing his public life with these private losses has been hard for Alex on Ice Road Truckers. He is known for his big laugh and funny stories, but behind the scenes he has been in so much pain. When Alex talked about Andrew's death in 2019, he got emotional as he talked about it. Even though Alex is very sad, he still meets fans and goes to events. He still smiles for pictures and signs autographs, though some fans have noticed that he seems quieter in person. His faith as a Catholic has helped him deal with his grief, and he says a prayer every day. His belief in a higher purpose gives him the strength to keep going. Alex's time on Ice Road Truckers was full of unforgettable moments. During season 3, his truck almost hit a fuel tanker on a narrow ice road. Both drivers slammed on their brakes and the tanker hit the side of his truck. A crash could have caused an explosion, but in another episode, Alex drove a 100-ton crane across thin, cracking ice. His calm demeanor helped him deliver the load safely. Throughout his career, Alex has been in life-or-death situations. In 1999, his truck almost sank through a frozen lake, and he barely managed to save the cab as the trailer sank into the water. In 2008, during a blizzard, his truck spun on black ice and almost went off a mountain road. In both cases, Alex relied on his experience and skill to stay alive. Alex has won many awards for his work. The Canadian Trucking Alliance named him an Ice Road Legend in 2012. In 2014, he was entered into the North American Trucking Hall of Fame and given an award for driving over 1,500 miles, 5 million miles, on ice roads without a major accident. These awards show how skilled and dedicated he is as a truck driver. In 2010, Alex wrote a book called King of the Road: True Tales from a Legendary Ice Road Trucker. It was a collection of stories from his life, including his exciting and dangerous time on ice roads. It became a hit and has been translated into 12 languages. To promote the book, Alex went on a 20-city tour, meeting fans and telling amazing stories. The book's success showed that Alex is not only a skilled truck driver, but also a great storyteller.